little bit about you and a little bit about your journey. So let's just take it from the top, man. How did you get started in movie production?
Let's take it all the way back. So the easy thing is to always talk about, oh, my dad showed me movies back in the day. He taught me an analytical brain with he would show me Goodfellas and be like, this is all in one take. They had to do that. And I'm like, wow, that's so fascinating and cool. And then in high school, I was part of the yearbook staff and was able to get behind the camera. I had one of the teachers who was the advisor on it, also the librarian. She handed me a MacBook Pro and a camera and said, hey, can you learn how to use iMovie over the spring break? And we want to start up a broadcasting class, and I want you involved in it. And so it was the greatest privilege. I made some discoveries, made some really terrible Instagram videos when I learned how to use chroma key and stuff. And it was just fascinating. So of course I've been stage acting, and it's always been a natural itch of what's the film like. But being behind the camera during high school, I did some photography competition from that. That same teacher urged me to do a state competition, learned how to shoot in manual. So that's how the know-how came in. That's how that came into my life. And in 2023, I was met with a lot of tragedy in my personal life, and I really needed some creative outlet. I needed something positive for the year. And so I kind of hit tooth and nail. I want to make a movie. I want to do this. Me and my friends had talked about a script. We got the script, and I just said, I just want to make this. And so no matter what capacity it's in, and that kind of snowballed from there. It became a production. We turned it into a whole thing. We premiered it at the Cameo, and just having all that, and then after that, I can't stop now. It's been an absolute dream.
So when you say that you experienced a little bit of tragedy, was it loss that really pushed you to create that first Subliminal Songs piece?
Yeah. So I have this giant notes app on my phone that just has ideas, and they're all terrible. But one of them was the Subliminal Songs idea, a pill that can make you relive a memory. I've always been a fan of Black Mirror. Recently, I love The Substance and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I love those kinds of ideas that humanity takes advantage of. And so that's how that idea came to be. And so I started spitballing a bunch of ideas. What can we do with this pill? And it initiated from a short, just one short film, a one-off, and it was The Escape, a young couple that it splits their ways from that, and of course that was written down before the tragedy, but it kind of after all that had happened, it kind of said, all right, this is the big inspiration for it. And you're not supposed to be biographical in your projects. And I try to steer away from it. I'm not telling my own story. You're not watching these projects and you're like, this is Judson Clark's life. I don't aim to do that ever. But there was a little inspiration with some of the projects in the series. And I think that's important because I always love to watch movies that I have a connection to, and what better way to do it than to make movies with your own connections, And so I think it's important to have a healthy boundary. You don't want to tell other people's business, tell other people's stories. I definitely want to keep it fictional, but yeah, there definitely is a lot of Judson Clark and the projects that you see that's made by me, and I hope that's shown and done justice in an interesting way.
Yeah. So as an artist, there's always a piece of the individual that goes into the product that they create. How much of it would you say? I know you just said that you don't do anything autobiographical, but how much of your experiences actually inform the pieces that you create?
Well, a big important thing that I like to focus on is empathy and understanding someone else, especially when it's regarding something I don't agree with or understand completely, and or an experience that I will never understand. And I always am curious in learning what that experience is like. And so I just have been doing a lot of listening. And so a lot of the Subliminal Songs projects have either been influenced by a personal experience of mine, or they've been from someone close to me, and I want to tap into that and understand that. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if that completely answers your question, but yeah, there is a lot of heart in Judson Clark, and if there's an experience like in this next one that we just shot and we're in post production now for The Ghost, there is a woman protagonist, and obviously I am not a woman, and so there's been a lot of research that I would have to do, and a lot of listening and understanding how to write a woman's dialogue or the experiences that I will never understand. Like, there's a lot of research that goes into that, and I try to, again, same thing, do that justice.
And how old are you?
I am 25 years old.
So you're 25, and you've already established yourself, or established a production company, and you've made mention of preferring to be a director. What are the similarities and differences between those two, and why would you choose directing over producing?
Well, producing is very hard. It's definitely not for everyone. I think with my background in acting, and also me personally just loving people and loving to talk to people, I love directing because I get to talk to the actors and I get to help tell a story. Of course, you would talk to a director and they love being behind the camera and making really cool and interesting shots. But there's also a real pull, and you personally probably already know from your own experience working with me, that I love talking to the actors and just saying, so what's going on? what's happening right here? I love asking, I love writing a script, showing it to the cast, and saying, okay, what's the story before and after the plot? What's happening with these characters? How do they meet and stuff like that? And getting all those little unnecessary details that an audience would never see in the project. I love establishing that story, because then we all go onto set, we have our little camaraderie, and they all have their own stories. Growing up as an actor, you have to create your own story. Even if you're just ensemble, even if you're a little background actor, you have your own beginning, middle, and end in the project. And so I like bringing that a bigger spotlight on that with every character on the screen. So directing is so much fun for me in that. I will also say, though, that producing has wonderful aspects too. There is nothing like coming out of a project, or in the case of Forsaken, the first project, like walking away from that with a sense of pride that I've never felt before, and just saying, I did that, right? Of course, I didn't do it alone. I'm aware of that. But when you have a producing title under your belt, there's no other feeling like it. And that's something that I would like to try and help other people feel. When I came out of Forsaken, that first project, I was driving home sobbing that this was my dream. When I set out to do, when I have talked about film, all I had ever wanted was to have my project in a theater. And I did that with the first one. My dream came true. And it was an incredible evening and a one-of-a-kind experience. And that's something that is a little harder to convey when you're a director. A producer, when you have the whole shebang, the keys to the kingdom, it is a tough experience wrangling everyone in the room and making it all happen. But it is quite rewarding. I like to run, and so it's kind of like running, where in the middle of it, you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? But you come out of that mile run, you check your time, and you hit that finish line, and there's just a catharsis with it. And so I would prefer directing just for the other things, but I also I'm not gonna hate on producing by any stretch of the imagination. I only say directing if I have the infinite resources and I can just pick and choose who I want for every role. I would probably stick to writing and directing.
So how was it that you started producing? I know you had talked a little bit about in school you were given the opportunity to run a camera, and you created all these IG posts. But after that point, what were the steps that actually happened to say, I I am establishing a production company,
Mhm.
and we are going to produce this project.
Yeah, I didn't come up with uh, the moniker at Nat Productions until in the middle of the production of Forsaken. Again, with the dream only being I want this show like screened in a theater. I didn't know how far I would want to take it. I had all these ideas and great things to do, but even shooting that, it felt I imagine it being a one-off. This is something that I want to try. I just want to prove that I can do it. And so and I also was imagining that production being aired to YouTube. It's just a free YouTube drop and just, hey, here's my thing. We did a thing this summer. Here you go. And it wasn't until on set that one of the castmates said, I said, oh my gosh, what if we had this in a theater? And then the castmate said, why not? And then the gears started turning. Oh my gosh, this is good. Let's make this a bigger thing. Let's make this a bigger shebang. And even during editing and post production of that project, the gears were turning for Subliminal Songs. In fact, when we did the premiere, we had the poster for Forsaken, and in the little corner, I had an Up Next Subliminal Songs, just because I knew that during the production, during that project, I wanted more. And yeah, for sure. I don't know how far it's gonna go. Like I'm not thinking right now about LLCs or hiring staff and making that whole thing. Right now at the moment we're just kind of seeing how far this goes, while we have the time to do it, and just while people are as far along as people are asking to make a project or wanting to work with me, it'll stay. If someone hits me up with, I want to do a Subliminal Songs episode, if you hit me up with, hey, I know you have a camera and something, and I know that you have this track record, I would like to make something, it's gonna stay. So I don't know how far it's gonna be. I don't need it to be anything bigger than it is already. But I really like the momentum that's been going. I really appreciate that it's providing this opportunity for the Fayetteville community to explore film, because that's what I've been wanting for many, many years. And now that it's existent, all I've been wishing is to create that opportunity for someone else.
So here locally, what would you say? How would you describe the film industry?
So Fayetteville has an interesting art space. It's got a really good theater space you have a regional theater. You have 3 local community theaters, or I can't remember the exact hierarchy, but you have opportunities. If you want to act on stage, if you want to even look at behind the scenes for stage, you've got it in spades at Fayetteville. The film industry is interesting because much like any project, film is not seasonally bound like theater is. And it just is, hey, this person wants to make a project, let's do a project. This person wants to make a project. And you really have to look into the tea leaves and hear, look into the crystal ball for when someone's making a project. And so, when Subliminal Songs came to be, it at first was Judson has this idea for this pill, and he wants to tell a story about a young lover. Judson has also this idea for this person being haunted by a ghost. And however, I know a few very talented writer friends, and I knew that with the goal or the idea that I want to provide this kind of opportunity that I felt with Forsaken for somebody else, I'm like, let's make this a community thing. This is an anthology series. It's not seasonally bound. It's just a series of short films that stands on their own. The only thing timed together is this invention. And I would reach out to these writer friends. Hey, here is what the pill can and cannot do. Do you have a story? Do you have an idea? Each and every writer friend that I've talked to about it said, yes, what about this? And what about that? And each one was different. And I'm like, yes. And then it grew into, and so Subliminal Songs is trying to be this community endeavor for people who may have been curious about film or something like that. And so that's been really exciting, because the film scene is, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's really touch and go, and I
mean, we might as well, you know, call what the kettle is, and there's really a dearth of film production facilities or film production interest here in Fayetteville. But I really just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to go back to something you said, looking into a crystal ball or reading tea leaves to find out when a project is going. You know, that's kind of ethereal. You know, what was the first step that you took, and the follow-on steps that you took? You're like, oh, okay, here's the Forsaken. Let's go ahead and start doing this project. Did you gather a collection of individuals from the theater and said, hey, we're just going to do film version now? Or
yeah, so that's one great thing about growing up a stage actor, is you kind of already have some contacts. And even though the cast, I can't remember exactly their history, but I want to say it was pretty limited in film acting before. And a lot of the projects that I've been taking up, I've had a few actors who were like, I've never done film before, but they definitely know how to
Fayetteville.
I know, right? They definitely know how to memorize the lines. They know how to act. There's not been much hand holding. You know, I know there's a tough learning curve that you have to learn from stage to film acting, but everyone that I've worked with has just been absolutely delightful and down for the plunge. And so, and that also means with like crew, I've had a director who's directed stage before and they want to direct acting, a writer who's written stage and they're writing film. Like it goes in all the ways too. And I've just known, okay, this person has experience in this department. Would you want to be interested in doing this, or are you interested in something else?
Why is there such a disparity between stage acting and film production, or acting within a film production?
Yeah. So stage acting,
it almost seems like it would be easier in film because you can redo what you
Yeah, I see what you mean, like in terms of the production as a whole. My note with the differences in that is that, of course, we all know that like stage acting, you rehearse, and then no matter what happens, you're there and you're on. And film acting, you do and redo. The difference for me is stage acting is you have, okay, imagine there's Mima in the 16th row way back there, and she can't hear very well, and so you have to act the difference. And you would have to maybe talk with your hands a little more, as I'm doing here, because I was trained as a stage actor. You would have to talk with your hands. You have to be a little more animated in your actions to telegraph that. Even if you're ensemble, it has to be lively and colorful and pop. However, in film, you get up and close, and you get really intimate with the actors. You get you get them close-ups. And so if a stage actor is doing film and they're doing this, it's not going to read as well. It might be a little jarring, and you have to tell them it's the detail. It's in the details. It's in the subtlety. And so that's the kind of like rewiring your brain has to do from going from stage acting to film acting, is that you have to go from da da da, and like going, hey, how you doing, sir, to hey, how you doing, sir? You know, and also volume. That's a whole other thing. You know, you have to project all the way out to Mima on the 16th row, and then film. You have to just whisper. You know what I mean? So there's like little things you have to retrain yourself with, and then yeah, absolutely, it's super jarring going from I'm called at this time, rehearsing this bit, and then we're shooting this over and over and over again, and that can be very challenging and tiring for a lot of actors, including myself.
So I love this dead silence. It's great.
This is fantastic. This is the part where I just yammer on.
So there's a lot of opportunities. I see a lot of opportunities for classes down at theater and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But let's say that someone is tired of just experiencing the classes, and they're ready to, put in their headshot for an audition. Mm-hmm. What does that process look like?
Terrifying. And any way you shake it, it's terrifying. There's
Like a little bit more medicinal. Like what would somebody just walk down to CFRT or the Cape Fear River Theater and just be like, "Here's a headshot, and my name's Brian. I'll see y'all. Give me a call."
Yeah, usually at least in my experience, it's been like an audition posting, and it's, hey, we're doing this thing. This is the project we're doing. This is some theaters work differently. There's a few theaters that audition seasonally. You just audition for the theater, and they pick and choose where to put you. That's totally fine too. But in my experience, it's been, hey, we're doing Hairspray. And little old me's like, let me get my little Superman curl going. I'm going for Link Larkin, and then you learn the song, and you take a little picture of yourself, and you go for that one specifically. Terrifying, like I said, for sure. And that is the worst of the bit. And I've been experiencing a little bit in that film too. With Ghost, we did our first open audition and just, hey, come in on the Zoom call. Here are some sides. Here's the little pieces of the dialogue. As a director, some dramatic, emotional scenes that I need to see and make sure that this is kind of the vision that I want. I would even do. I don't think I did this for Ghost, just because I knew, but I had the idea for doing like a screen test and having them together and making sure these two characters read well together. They look well together. That the director things, you know what I mean? And yeah, so as an actor on both sides, it's terrifying. You know, I want to make sure as a director that I give everyone their fair due. I give everyone their flowers that you know are just giving it their all for these parts. Also being on the flip side as an actor, terrified because I am giving it my all. This is my make or break shot. And even if it's just for a community theater production of Hairspray, like, I take it seriously. It's a big deal to me. This is my passion. This is my love. And I hope that people auditioning for me kind of feel a similar way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting, okay, we're paying the big bucks. This is going to be A24, and this is going to be the next Marvel movie that's going to make $1 million. But I do like to, in my acting as a stage actor, I would always give it my all, and I am trying to do the same thing with directing and hoping that the actors do that same thing too. And so far so good. These guys are very freaking talented. Everyone that I've worked with, like I said, has just been a delight, and the reason why I want to keep doing this.
So it seems like the theater and movie scene is kind of like, you got to be in the know. You know, if I want to be a music maker, I go out and I buy my preferred instrument and I practice at home. Mm-hmm. And then I go out to clubs just to kind of get a vibe, see what's going on. And then there's like this natural progression. But for me, being on the outside, it doesn't feel like there's the same natural progression within acting, production, and directing. Mm-hmm. You know,
yeah.
Am I off the mark there, or how do you view it?
Well, my parents told me way back when, I don't think they were directly relating to specifically filmmaking, but they said, you do you, and then over time people will notice. And that's kind of a silly, like, throwaway saying, but there is truth in that. And Forsaken, I keep going back to it, but it was going to be a YouTube drop. It was just going to be, hey, me and my buddies are doing a thing. It was just going to be the little college student film project. It was very, you know, I'm very proud of it, and I showed a lot of people that, and it's a lot of rough edges there, but I'm still proud of it nonetheless. Regardless, I didn't think anyone was going to show up for it. And the cameo seats, like 100 people, some change, and it was almost full that night. And I didn't shut up about it, you know, leading into it. I posted it everywhere, reached out to my friends, and some came, some didn't. Some people still don't know what Subliminal Songs is, or that I'm even doing film, and that's okay. I don't need I don't think I need an audience right now. And I'm not saying that as like humble bragging. Like, I'm not trying to promote myself in some kind of way, but I think and fully believe that you do the thing that you're passionate about. You can share, like, if you're doing music, share, hey, this is my SoundCloud, this is my art, and some people will look at it, some people won't. And at the end of the day, does it make you happy? And what do you need from it? Do you need eyes? Do you need an audience? Or is it just something that you're passionate about and that you love doing, right?
But there's only so much that your passion could put on the table when it's
Absolutely.
dinner time.
Absolutely.
So you've just said a whole bunch.
Whole bunch of nothing.
I mean, there's a lot there. Growing up in a household where your parents were supportive of, like, you do you.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg, he had that camera and he was making mini movies in his backyard.
Yeah.
Matthew Stewart Jackson. He also talks about the positive influence that his parents have had on him from coming up.
Yeah.
I'm middle aged. I'm a 47-year-old man and I'm just now coming into it. Mm-hmm. So I find it real difficult to punch into the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And I say that to say, how would you recommend that old folks like me get a leg up and actually get busy with what it is they want to start doing within the entertainment industry?
Yeah. Is there are you talking about film specifically, or what is the entertainment
specifically film?
Yeah. So with that, you personally, you have a camera. I taught a workshop in January and told them, and nobody wants to hear this, but everybody has a phone, and you'll hear a lot of I've met a lot of film students that say they need a requirement, they need external audio and they need X amount of gear, X amount of price tags and budgets to make it happen, and it's simply not true. You stop that. You stop that right now. But my point is, it's great to have. We're saying that with the beautiful lighting set up, and we have microphones and a beautiful camera recording. No, there's nothing wrong with having the things. My point is, it's not the requirement. That's not the entry level. Greg, you gotta work with me here.
No. Okay. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that, me personally, it's the story that matters. I am okay with hearing some poopy audio, and as long as I can make out what they're saying, some poopy audio and some out of focus shots, if you're telling me a good story.
Real quick, I'm probably gonna break a lot of hearts.
Oh no!
Say this. So Buster Keaton has a silent film called The Cameraman. Mm-hmm. That movie had me laughing more than I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. Not one word was said, mm-hmm. right? And it's from 1927-ish, like that era. And then I watched Casablanca. The Cameraman was a better movie than Casablanca for me.
Wow, what a take. Yeah, you are going to break some hearts with that.
Yeah, tell me about it. Because there's a lot of people out there that are like, who the heck is Buster Keaton?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's all, art is subjective, and I cannot stand the people who try to boil it down to, it has to be this kind of thing. It has to be groundbreaking, it has to be A24, and it has to be shot on a red camera. It's simply not true. If you have a story, if you have an idea, that is all it takes. People have started careers and made so much money just from having an idea. And I'm not saying that is the through line and direction. You should always create art for the sake of money. But my point, going back to the central point, all you need is a little phone, and put it up on your little YouTube and little hit them with Facebook posts, and you got to start somewhere. And I know there's so many tired beating a dead horse sayings, and I think trailing off. For your point, getting started in the industry, later in the game, there's no wrong time to start because we all start at that same point, and you've already had your experience working with me, working cinematographer and operator, and you're already on your way to producing and making your thing. And whether how big, you have to ask, what is the end game? What is the goal? Is this something on the side, or do you want to make this something? And then that's when you pull in your money and resources and time into it. If it's just a pastime for you, you keep it to the community level. You bring your friends in, no $0 budgets, and you do the thing. If you need to make a career out of it, then you look into festivals, you look into the budgeting, crowdfunding for distribution. That is going to gauge how serious you want to take it.
That crowdfunding might push me into another tax bracket.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about that right now. Like I said, for my journey, my only goal, the only thing I needed from this industry was for my film to be in a theater. I already got it, and now I'm just kind of wondering and seeing how far we can go within means, because I still have a day job. I'm not quitting my job and full sending into this industry and buying the gear and doing the things. I'm just seeing what I can make with what I have. I'm shooting short films off a DSLR, and I'm completely okay with that. I don't need a red, I would like to maybe try a festival, see if it gets accepted. But if it doesn't, I don't need it, I'm still in a place where I'm still trying to find out how much I want from it. And yeah, does that kind of help? Does that answer it? I know I just talk a lot of, just do a whole lot of circles and loop-de-loops and pulls.
It's fine. There's other folks I talk to that do the same thing.
There's
other people that I shoot for that do the exact same thing.
Oh man.
So, no, I mean, you make a good point. You've got to understand the end state to understand exactly how much time and effort you really want to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a powerful statement. Whenever I went into the military, my end state was to do 3 years and then get out. I did that time, and then I was like, what now?
Mm-hmm. That's such a hard question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody, I know everybody has their own moment in whatever shape or form, but what now is such a haunting, harrowing thought, and spending time with that idea, and just it's terrifying. I'm like, I feel like I had something else to say about it, but God. God. And then someone tells you got to take it day by day, one foot in front of the other. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, what is this 12-step program?
You know what I mean?
One day at a time.
Put some ankle weights on there and maybe you get some muscles out of it. What do you want from me? I got to lay in bed and hit me with what now? And then I'm like, oh, let me just count sheep by counting steps in front of me. Sickening.
Well,
he's booked and blessed.
That's our time.
No,
brother.
that's our time. We're just getting started. We're just keep it running, keep it going. We got more to unpack. Tell me about the military.
Well, I mean, so I got out of the military, and then I actually went back into the military because I was one of those guys that didn't realize until they got out, but they needed that structure, right? And so I made it a point to serve for 20 years. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of other things. That I didn't visualize and set my mind to. Mm-hmm. So I really capped myself with an invisible ceiling.
Yeah.
Such as rank and whatnot. Yeah. Have you ever run into a situation where something similar has happened to you, where you didn't look at the end state, and after you finished the project, you were like, I could have done so much more with it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I told you earlier that I take acting very seriously, and I'm probably gonna play this back. I'm like, you sound really conceited right now. You sound like a diva right now. But
I'm probably gonna say you sound like an actor.
Oh God, that's even worse. And there was a point, I spent a lot of my high school years doing community theater. I had a good group of friends, and I spent so much time there. And I love that place to this day, and there's nothing wrong with it. But there did come a point where I was doing a show. It was about Hairspray. that time. That was a true story, actually. I was Link Larkin. You know, don't look it up. Just trust me on it. Don't look it up because it's embarrassing and humbling, humbling photos of me. And don't look up those Instagram videos of me either. Don't do it. But I remember doing that show, and I think there was one show after, and I just, how quick I got off book and how much time I put into it, into studying the lines, doing my homework and researching the character. And there's a castmate that doesn't know their lines, that isn't taking the time to learn them. And walking out of that project, $0 from it, because it's a community theater. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with the thing that I was in, but I'm finding myself like, I am doing the most for this. And that is not the expectation. That is not the climate that we're in for it. And it was at that production that I'm like, I don't think I need to be doing acting for free. And it, again, diva alert. But how much effort is put into it, I had to reestablish. Is this something that I want to continue? And if so, I need to not be doing it at this theater. I need to find somewhere else, like a Cape Fear Regional Theater. It's more competitive and scarier, but they take it as seriously as you want to take it. That is the environment you need to be surrounded in, you know? And I still have situations where, yeah, I'm getting paid for it, but there's still another person that doesn't know their lines. Oh my gosh, right? There's a whole thing like that. But yeah, I don't know if that's similar enough to draw the parallels to what you experienced, but yeah, it's.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of similarity there as far as like me putting in, me perceiving myself putting in more effort than the guy next to me. Mm-hmm. But we are earning the same paycheck, and I'm actually doing more and more and more, and that individual is just doing less and less and less.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of commonality there.
Yeah.
And you had said that it was scary going to CFRT, but sometimes you need, like me personally, sometimes you need that safety net pulled away.
Absolutely.
To really light that fire under your ass.
That was an incredible experience, and even just auditioning for them, which is the scariest part, is just that you walk away with that with pride. I did it. I shot for it. I swung for the fences. You know what I mean? Even if nothing ever comes from it, I highly recommend any artist that cares about what they're doing to swing. I mean, if I didn't have Forsaken in a theater, I don't know if we would be talking right now, because like that film swing, shooting it, doing it at a theater, renting the theater out and doing it there, auditioning for CFRT, it's what made me that I am today. And although I keep recommending, like, you do things within reason that you can feasibly do with the time that you have and the resources that you have, I call it maximalist production. I put my projects on Amazon. I have an IMDb now, and it helps me do better and grow from it because you are swinging for the fences. And if you crash at the first time, cool, you get to try again. And so any artist in any capacity, visual artists, musicians, anything that you aspire to be. And I guess this can be a personal note too. Like, you got to go for it. Like, yeah. even once, you know, even if, you find out you've bit off more than you can chew and you got to pump the brakes a little bit, that's fine. Just try once. Right.
Yeah. So before we close out for real,
this is the North Carolina thing of saying goodbye and then talking 5 minutes later.
Well, see ya. What do you got coming up? What would you like people to know about?
Yeah. So I currently am in post-production for Subliminal Songs, The Ghost. You were behind the camera on that, so it's definitely a treat to see with this dynamic duo at it again. And that's coming out like around midsummer. And we just shot, us two again, the next Subliminal Songs episode, written, co-produced, and starring one Matthew Stewart Jackson. Love that man. Called See You Back at the Car. There is a bunch of different titles that I was mixing up. See You Back at the Car. And that is also coming out. I believe that's going to be coming out sometime in June. I don't have an official date for it, so don't quote me on that. But that's coming out probably even sooner than Ghost. And so those two are going to be a back-to-back Subliminal Songs summer. After that, it's up in the air. Film-wise, it is up in the air. I have an idea for the next Subliminal Songs episode. The script is not started. I lied. I am shooting one more Subliminal Songs episode in July, and we're slating that for fall to winter of this year. But other than that, yeah, it's up in the air. I've been having conversations with people about future projects, and we're kind of loosely talking about that, looking at some things. But yeah, I have open ears just for people who. I've always wanted to write a film. I've always wanted to direct a film. I have my DMs and my ears open and wanting to have a conversation. So,
right on. Well, I appreciate you stopping by here.
Absolutely.
At the Unfunny America studio.
Thank you for having me. I hope I was unfunny for you enough.
Well, the journey, I call it unfunny because the journey is never just rainbows and unicorns, right? There's obstacles all over the place. And we didn't even touch on the obstacles. So maybe next time.
Oh, sequel part 2.
Thanks again for coming by.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.